From the creator of monster ecologies, RPG horror stories, and campaign world builders, your main man, the greatest voice RPG has ever known. We're going to be starting a brand new series. You guys let me know, baby. You understand, down in the comments, what you think, what you feel, how you like this. Basically, the idea is to take some NPCs of the vivid imagination stream that I've had over the years and dump them right here and give you the context and give you the clues and give you the ideas that I have behind these characters so that you can just cut, paste, chop, and slide them right in your own games. You got my full permission. Take them, baby. Put them where you need to put them in your own games and say, oh, look at this wonderful idea I came up with. They don't need to know it was your main man. Put it right in your repetendum, if you will, baby. So I'm going to put this together. You guys let me know what you think. I got some various ideas. I want to start off with the voice of the woods. Now, this is from the last, not the current, Within the Ring of Fire, Planescape, AD&D, 2nd edition campaign saga that I've been putting together currently. And then we just had a session last Saturday and the Saturday before that at 4 p.m. I'm just so excited I might just destroy the computer set. Who knows? In a plain white t-shirt. I could do it. And I may do it. But let's see what you're going to do right now, baby. So let's talk about the imagination, the idea here. So, the voice of the woods. Now, in my games, as you know, as I talk about how we do priests, how we do wizards, you have to learn your spells. Nothing, oh, 2nd level, now a new spell is jumped into my brain cells. Nah, son, your brain stem doesn't work that way. And it's not going to. Not today, not any day. Now, that being said, I need to pepper in inside my stories ways that the players can learn, meet individuals, hire individuals, wizards, clerics, druids that can teach them spells if they go about it right. It's not going to be a sure thing. It's not going to be a home run. It's going to allow them the opportunity to do that. And that gives me a reason to put that in, to give them encounters. I love to have encounters with strange and amazing things. There's so many amazing things inside this book and inside other books. Inside Monsters and Men, Within the Ring of Fire, RPG.com. Go drive through RPG.com, baby. Go get your copies Within the Ring of Fire today. Learn the sensation that's sizzling our mental nation. So you want to get that sort of idea, right? How are we going to use something? How are we going to use something different, right? How entertaining is it to attack a D7 dolphins? You're like, ha ha ha! Take this, motherfucker! I mean, it is fun to attack dolphins, but you may want to bring something in your game, right? And yeah, it can be amazing to take on a green dragon. That can be a great fight. It can be a horde, all sorts of things. And yet you can role play and you're terrified because you know in dragon fights your characters' lives are definitely on the line. It's got gas that it's going to bellow on you, poisonous gas. And that is a creature that can be really great. But imagine this. You have a green dragon and you're role-playing it with the players. So here's the concept. Let me pitch this to you. The voice of the woods. The voice of the woods is a druid, a high-level druid, and he's a green dragon. The voice of the woods is evil, but the voice of the woods lives in the Forgotten Realms, and you can put this anywhere you want. But in the Forgotten Realms, in the Forest of Worms. The game I was running was sort of in the shadow of Baldur's Gate. Over near right on the winding waters, so north of Baldur's Gate. Just a little bit west of the Troll Claw Ford. And at one point they go to the Forest of Worms. There's a big abandoned lich tower. The carriage had come in there and done X, Y, and Z. So you got that right there. But then as you go into the forest, there are green dragons in the forest. I researched and figured out the kind of things that are there. And the canon of Forgotten Realms states that there are green dragons there, right? And now this is directly south of the Serpent Hills, the Yuan-Ti, which are a fantastic race, right? Serpent people. We could take this right back to Conan, to Robert E. Howard. Amazing stuff. But having green dragons in the Forest of the Worms, which itself is a very large forest, located to the east of the Winding Waters, to the east of the Troll Claws, to the south of the Serpent Hills, and to the ever so slightly southeast of the High Moor. So it's in this area. It's slightly inland from the Sword Coast. Now imagine that. Who's going to be the druid of this wood, right? We always picture druids as these kind of hippy dippy or naturalistic sort of Native American style shamans, or maybe you picture them Celtic. Maybe you give them a little bit of an edge, right? Maybe you don't want to make them stinky hippies. Maybe you want to make them a little harder. But imagine that, and imagine a neutral evil druid who is a green dragon, who is a high level druid, who has been doing this for centuries. Now imagine, what is his life really like? He's out there in the woods all alone, and then he sees people traipsing through the woods. Well, he confronts them. And in confronting them, we see, does it need to be a conflict? Does it need to have some dice come out? Does it need to be violence? Or do the players pick up on the fact that maybe they should try to parlay? Maybe they shouldn't be haughty. Maybe they should try to offer some type of reverence, some type of sacrifice. You understand? And dragons are greedy. They want. So imagine, additionally, this is a creature, right? It hasn't even talked. And the way you role play the voice of the woods is talking, speaking common is strange to it. It hasn't done it in years, decades, maybe over a century, maybe over 2 centuries since it spoke common, and it has to stop and think. And then the fact that it's having this social stimulation on it, and the party, hopefully, gets in a situation where they can actually communicate with the individual, okay? And they start appeasing it. They start putting it up, you understand? They start making offerings to it, and it gets real happy. So for this particular character, I use face claims. I have scags of pictures. I have like a sludge art folder, essentially, for all these. I want to use that. I'm going to do something with it, right? I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Let me put it aside right now. But I also have an entirely another folder with a large number of additional folders, and I put them together. In fact, I should figure out how I can do a video where I'm showing my computer, pick the camera up here and fucking hold it and wave it around, because it's kind of interesting, I think, and it's a great game mastering tool for looking at all these, the way you do that, and then you label your folders. So this town, here are my NPCs, here are my embers for this town. Here's for this area. Here's really powerful ones, and then inside I subdivide them. Here's all the NPCs of the Church of Merkel. Here's the NPCs of the Church of Torm. Here's the NPCs of the Church of Lathander. Here's the NPCs that they don't know of the Cult of Cyric, right? Here's the bartender, the bar wench, the general provisioner, the lumberjacks, the lumberjack camp boss, the mine camp bosses, whatever. But for this one, and I like to use a lot of famous actors, sometimes like kind of pop players, but also, I use random art pictures, anything I can get, anything I think I can get some mileage out of. So it could be anything. Of course, a lot of pro wrestlers get work inside your main man's game in acting roles. Many a pro wrestler has gotten work. Dusty Rose of the Dwarf, baby, the Commodorf, if you will. 19 charisma. And just the picture alone, right, that starts telling a story, that starts filling things in. And for the face claim, right, internet role-playing term, which I like, I think it well works, and I think that's a fantastic thing to do. Harkens back to the old school, draw your character here, so that we get an image, we get an idea, and once we can see that can really help to tell the story, that can really help to drive it home. And I like to take my computer and turn it around, so when I'm talking, they're not looking at me, they're looking at the NPC in question. For this guy, we're using Tom Cruise, and we have this frenetic energy. Imagine Tom Cruise jumping up and down on the couch screaming about Scientology, right? But instead, the impetus on the character, right, is this guy's lonely. He's been alone for so long. He's seeing various serpents out here. He doesn't like the Yuan-Ti incursions. He knows there's undead over here. He's a druid. He doesn't like the undead. Doesn't matter that he's neutral evil. He's not like, oh, undead, that's wonderful. It's like, no, I don't really care for that. I'm just selfish. I'm just greedy. What is the evil component, right? His evil could be a lot of things, but he's greedy. He's selfish. He wants a horde. He's a chromatic dragon, and he's centuries old. Offerings! And we have this little tiny guy. He's like 5'2". You could make. I always like to use dragons. Let me put this over. And I strongly suggest anyone runs dragons like this, because you can get oomph out of them. You can bring them into towns. You can get whole other role-playing scenarios with them. And once your players know you do that, they really, it rakes up their sell factor. And you want players to have a high sell factor. Because you don't want them to feel like, oh, I'm Billy Badass. That's going to be a bad look for your game. You want players always kind of thinking, who are these high important people in the area, right? So for me, every dragon has an ability to turn into a form. It doesn't matter what type of dragon it is. It's an added ability I give them all because it works so well. And that form, I don't let dragon. They can't turn to anyone. They can turn into one form, whatever's been impressed on them. You know, it might be it's a certain person. So this one turns into Tom Cruise, right? With a certain size, and it's all based on what other sort of humanoid sapient species or semi-humanoids. You can make one a centaur. You can make something a Wimmick, right? You could have something turn into a human or an elf or whatever, and then you can start subtly telling them, giving them tells. In classic mythology, a lot of monsters had tells where you could see, okay, they leave different footprints. Their shadow is just a little bit weird. For me, you know, with dragons, sometimes I do things like where they're tasting the air with their tongue, where they're smelling. They're using their olfactory senses in a far greater degree than humans would. So that's off-putting. Imagine if I just start doing this shit to you just randomly. Man, you think I was a fucking weirdo. I mean, you're in my videos, so you already think that. But you think I was a different kind of weirdo. I'm probably like a creep on top of it, right? But, you know, and I was doing like a number like this, like, just periodically in the middle of the roleplay, just start doing that sort of thing. Because what's actually happening is the dragon's tongue is coming out, right? But in the polymorph, it looks a little bit different, but their sense, their desire to do that is still the same. You're going to have an innate aspect, regardless of your guise, regardless of your form, as to how you act. And the dragon is huge. It's a dragon, so it thinks it's huge. But this dragon is currently a 5'1" person. You could have even made it a gnome, right? But we don't do that. Not in your main mass game. So he's like, and he's batshit crazy. Imagine if you had been essentially with almost no communication with the outside of the world of anyone. If you're just alone for hundreds of years, that's going to start damaging your sanity. At least it did in this individual's case, right? You can at least understand that. You can buy into that. You said, oh, he's a green dragon. Da, da, da. No. He has a life. He's done things. He's doing things. He's not just, I sleep and then I get attacked and you rob me. That's not what dragons are doing. They're doing things. They're trying to get a hoard. They're trying to get power. And part of his power is in nature. And he does care about this woods in his own way. And it's twisted and it's corrupted and it's greedy. It's his. It's his. And you want to come through here? Well, you got to pay the price, Jack. And he's like, tribute. And they're like, okay, well, and they started giving him things. Well, he's a dragon. Dragons are greedy. You know, they want everything. Everything. So they would just start handing him things. And he's from this place. So he can't get common goods. It's not like he just goes to town. He's nuts. So he lives out in the woods, and they're offering him this, and this. And I have the players make some charisma rolls. Charisma is a stat you should always do stuff. Have them make rolls, or just look at their charisma. If your charisma is like a 9, a 10, and 11, or worse, in my game, that could be real bad. If you want to get your character pushed, if you want to get your character over, something a character with a 20 charisma can do like that, it might take months or even years of role playing to get your 9 charisma character up there because you are not important. You are not special. You are not cool. That's what charisma says. Ooh, the magnetism. You know, people want Hulk Hogan's autograph, but they don't want yours. So to the muck with you. And you got to really put some deeds on your name. And even then it's hard because the bards, they just, I don't know. He just doesn't resonate. The people that seen it, the high charisma character, they might go to him and say, oh, it was you. You did it. Yay. And I've done that to people. Say, oh, the character with the high charisma, he gets picked up and carried around. And all you guys really are in this story is his servants, his hirelings, his lantern bearers, his shield bearers. And he was the one that done whooped all that ass. Even though that's not what happened. He didn't whoop no ass at all. Maybe he ran away. But nah, hell nah. Not the way the townsfolk told it for 1,000 years to come. Because you got to put those big stats over those 18s, those 19s, those 20s, those 17s, even a 16, baby, maybe a 15. You understand? Because it grips a person's imagination. A common folk doesn't see that, and you resonate as cool and important. So with NPCs, you should do the same thing. There's an old trait reaction adjustment. But you could just sell it. Like, I usually, sometimes I make people roll, but often I just use your role play as the roll. So you have XY bonus from your reaction adjustment, from your charisma score, whatever you want to say. And then your role play is, oh, wow, you really hit it out of the park of that role playing. Now, here's a problem. Don't let people over role play on you. I have a 4 charisma, but my character's dashing, and they do this great job role playing. Well, they didn't do a great job because they didn't role play their character. They just role played charisma as best they could with their 7 charisma character. You got to stumble, you got to slip, you got to fuck up, you got to shit yourself, right? Because you're not charismatic, you're not cool, you're a fucking donkey's ass. That's what you are. That's what you chose to be. I've never thought of charisma as a dump stat because your main man plays some slick, cool ass characters. You walk in with your bitch ass 10 charisma, gaga, 17 off the rip, son, and they're all wanting to know about your main man's capacity. Well, this druid here, he's got a good charisma, but the party has a druid as well. Teddy Bear Grand Conjunction, she was playing a druid in the game. And we got to, again, there's got to be a reason there. How does she learn more spells? She got to get tutoring. She got to get mentorship. She's got to learn. She's got to learn the spells, but not just the spells. She got to learn about special abilities, about shape changing, about all these things. We got to integrate that in the game. They don't just, that's horrible. You've cheated the players of the experience. Yeah, the players, I want everything right now. They do. But the players are their own worst enemies at all times. Upon that, there will be no discussion of that point right there. So you got to understand that the players want to have it all right now, but you got to push them back and let them earn it and let it mean something. Let each spell mean something. Let there be a reason. Let there be verbal components, somatic components, a story behind these things, right? Let there be stories behind their special abilities, how they got training from a green dragon by trading it strange items from the town, things that it might not have seen in 150 years, or maybe it never saw before because he's not particularly civilized. So he's running around. So the character has frenetic energy, right? So imagine, that old Tom Cruise interview where he's, I think it was Matt Lauer maybe, or Oprah, just somebody's jumping up and down. He's, Scientology, I know everything, Lord Zeno, nano, whatever his monkey ass was talking about. So take that and then rustic it up a bit, right? Take that energy, tribute, yeah, and at the same point, lay this behind him. That was goofy, right? But then put this weirdness, this hardness, the fact that this guy who you could snap like that, your fighter could snap him in half, looks at the fighter like he's 10 times the fighter's size, like he could snap the fighter in half. The clever player starts looking and going, oh, I wonder why he thinks that. Is he just crazy? Is he just a mad hermit in the woods? Right? And again, this character could be sliced away. You could rip the green dragon right out of him and just use him as a mad druid in the woods. But it worked really well. It got over with the players and it injected serious comedy, right? You can have a character who is comical and serious. The thing you want to do is keep it very deadly in character, keep it very serious, open up the eyes, those wide cult member eyes. Then he's doing weird dragon things. He's listening and he's hearing things. He's hearing the voices from the woods. He's hearing the animals. He's hearing the gastropods sliding around under the oak. You understand? And they're telling him things and he's getting more information. There's other things happening that don't involve the players. There's other things in the woods and he knows those things too because the leaves are coming with him. And it kind of let me do like some kind of like Evil Dead type things where, have vines and plants sliding around because remember, he's a druid. So we're giving him spell-like abilities. We're giving him spells. And he's hit a couple spells before he approaches the party. He's a green dragon. He's smart. He's going to be prepared for the combat possibility. And by prepared, he's going to win, right? At least he thinks he is because he's very prideful. He's confident and he will approach you by himself. And then if you have that other druid, right? Because he's a druid, he speaks druidic. And the other druid who you have in the party, which is after all the real reason we introduced him. So we can have this crazy role-playing exchange between the druid and we slowly allow it to be shown out and slide out what he is. And it might not be the first appearance. She might go back again, right? And maybe even a third time. And we slowly bring these things out. So they went through the forest, right? I'm not going to go into everything that happened, but it was one of the cooler moments of the whole game, what happens next. But they go out of the forest. They go down the river. And they actually have to get some lumber to get across the river, but they have to come back right through there, and then they have a second encounter, a second role playing, and a chance to spend a little more time there and allow the druid to learn maybe another spell, right? To learn a spell, for me, it takes 1 hour per spell level of the spell, and then you get a roll of chance. Now, if I go off intelligence, even for priests, I go off the intelligence to learn it. Now, with a mentor, you could, I sometimes add a bonus. I give you a 5% chance, 10% chance, 15% chance, 25% chance, 35% chance, depending on what I want to do. And that allows the player to instantly, when they're getting that bonus, go, ooh, this guy really knows his stuff. This is really important. Because after all, you kind of want to let him learn some spells, right? So giving him a bonus from time to time certainly doesn't hurt. Right, and then you think, okay, well, he's a druid, so that limits his spells. But what spells does he have? Again, I limit just under the intelligence quotient how many spells a caster can have. With their spontaneous casters, boom, create water, boom, good berry, whatever it is, he can just throw out whatever spell he needs at the time because he understands the power of the elements, the power of the wind, the power of the river, the power of the trees. He knows them, and they know him, and he is their guardian. So then you go in and kind of design around the woods. What does the woods look like? What is this neutral evil thing guarding, right? Well, he's not corrupt. He is just greedy. He's just selfish. He just is prideful. He thinks, I'm the man. And he's a little crazy. But he's not utterly out of balance with nature. He's not a necromancer. He disdains the undead. He doesn't want other individuals around. He's territorial. So if the players try to sledgehammer him, that territorialness is going to come into play. That pride's going to come into play. And that's how he comes to the players. He's trying to figure them out, right? And he's thinking, as he's coming up, he's already buffed himself up. He already has spells in place, right? He already has spells around the terrain. And the players are using detect magic and so forth. You can show them those magical dormers. You can say, actually, you do see the sphere of animal has been cast. The sphere of plant has been cast. And then I go and I like to color those things up. You know, we talk about the brown hues of the dwomers of the magic from the animal sphere. The green hues, scintillating magical energy of the plant sphere. And I ratchet it up or down depending on how old it is, how long ago it was cast, how strong the spell is, how strong the area is. He's essentially has a consecrated area druidically to nature with an evil resonance to it as well, but a resonance of power. This is a man of power, but power of his own kingdom, power of his own place. But at the same time, inside, he craves companionship. He wants it. He's desperately hoping that he can actually talk. And that's maybe the reason a dragon might sit down and play and mess around with you and screw with you, because deep down inside, he's yearning to have that exchange. In his long life, he's had so much fewer conversations than the human has. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe this is a dragon that lives in a metropolis. But that's not this guy. We can talk about that as well. We'll see in the comments if you like. I could tell you about a dragon that lives in a metropolis. I could tell you about a dragon named Kindle. I could tell you about a lot of different NPCs. And hopefully you could take these, change them around however you want, and dump them right into your games if you need something else to help get you over. And I'll tell you that right now, this comical veneer, the fact that there's clear danger around them, the fact that he's very strange, the fact that he's highly intelligent, the fact that he appears to be prepared, the fact that he is clearly paying attention to other things besides you that are happening. That's off-putting when somebody starts talking to the leaves, and then you see that it looks like the leaves are talking back to them. You can see slight crinkling, slight moving of the leaves of the oak trees. You can see vines maybe sliding, like maybe the most perceptive character. Like, oh, by the way, you see a vine over here, and the vine is sliding, and it's sliding towards you. What you gonna do? So that's the sort of nuance you can drink in and add to your game, to add something in just a small encounter, right? Instead of a D7 orcs attack you. Who cares, man? No one's ever going to remember that. But they're like, oh man, I remember when we were in the forest of the worms, and we met a green dragon, and we talked to him, and he taught us druid spells. Who can't believe a green dragon could be a druid? Of course you can. It's easy to think. And then if you look at inside of, say, a kingdom, a world, Forgotten Realms, high-level druidic green dragons make lots of sense. They live a long time. And there's no reason at some strange interval he can't meet human druids. He can't meet half-elven and elven druids. He can't meet satyr druids, right? And these things can't come together. A Wimic druid, who knows? And communicate, right? They have respect for each other. And that's where the druidic tongue comes in. So that's where you try to lean the scene, right? Because you want to spotlight. You want to feature your different players. So that made me feature my druid's character. And she was able to come up with, I'll try to speak druid to him. Druidic. And all of a sudden, he's like, he's like, ah! And he'll go, he'll go, chirpy, yes, yes. Woo! And I will go over the top and give him this sort of cartoon aspect, right? He's the madman of the wood, but at the same time, I'm going to draw it back, and I'm going to start slowly showing those sinister sides. The fact that you're in a lot of danger, you're in somebody else's house, and there's a reason that that man has a house and you outdoors in the same exact place. So that's something that can really convey a sense of dread and danger to players, and the looming threat of combat, the looming threat of death is much more effective than well, what's attacking us now? I don't know. I missed probably. Who fucking cares? I'm gonna go get a soda. This is stupid, right? Versus when the players sitting there and just sees like, what the fuck is this thing? And then they start slowly. You start slowly leaving them a bird trail of clues, right? And then because they have to come back, right? So then you can have them go, and then it's going to come up. Then when they're away, when they feel safe to talk about it, when they're out of the woods and they know they're not being listened to. Hey, the hell was that? Hey, Drew, what do you think that was? I kind of have some ideas. I'm not really sure. Let's start crossing some things off the list. And we see he's powerful, right? Because he's teaching third level spells. He's teaching fourth level spells. He can teach fifth level spells, right? So he can teach quite a bit of druidic spells, quite a bit of druidic power. And he's showing up with no armor on, with no weapons, and he's standing like he's the biggest man there. And I really put that over, like, so it's bizarre, right? It's strange, but it's only comical up until the fact that you realize he is the biggest man there. And the looks can be very deceiving, and that sometimes respect must be shown in a man's house. And even the woods can be a man's house. So it was a very fun, enjoyable experience for me. I love role playing dragons, and I mean role playing, not just we're going to fight dragons. Don't get me wrong, we will fight some dragons, but we can also have it that way. And one of the players had draconic armor from the very beginning of the game. I had him fight a very, very young green dragon, so that set up all kinds of problems for that character later in the game. The draconic armor right off the bat, and I mean they killed the dragon. Oh, skin him. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, and the other player was an armorer, so he makes the armor, right? And or do they? No, I think they had someone else make the armor. Anyway, they get the armor. The dragons, all of a sudden, like he's getting massive reaction adjustments. He's wearing a baby dragon's, dragon skin. What was it? It was like a second category dragon, I think. They're first level, second level party, and they just barely beat the thing, and they're real messed up. I think I nearly killed a couple of them, but that gave another impression, and put things like that over. Remember what your characters are doing, what they have on, and what they look like, because your NPCs are going to react to them differently based on that, based on what race they are, based on their class to a degree, and based on what the kinds of weapons they're holding, the kind of magical items they might have, and what they're doing. But they started giving him tribute, and just like he would do something for him, and then he would start kind of like looking their shit over and just looking at their backpacks, and then when they started figuring it out, and they would hand him something. They go, "Oh, we want to give you tribute." Tribute. So he would be happy to get a tribute, and that would kind of reset his mind from greedy dragon I'm going to take from you to I am being exalted. So his pride and his greed are both warring. His greed says kill them all, let's take their stuff, but his pride says I'm the fucking man. And he's liking that. But at the same point, he's loving to have conversation. He's loving to teach another druid. He's loving to impart his knowledge of spells on them. And that gives her a chance. She's writing down, okay, I have this spell and I've learned it. So let's put something draconic on the spell. I learned this spell from an elf. Let's put some elvish spin on the spell. So you can personalize and tailor each of your spells to the experience from where you got them. I found this spell in an ancient tomb just carved on the fucking wall. You see what I'm saying? And you can put something on them because it's magic, and magic should mean something. It shouldn't just be here's an equation, just go ahead and use your power, use your at will power. Get it funky, baby. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Let me know if you want more of these, because I have a lot of NPCs and embers. We can certainly get into that. We can certainly get into, as I am now fully in the swing of running Within the Ring of Fire, certainly bring out some of these Within the Ring of Fire characters that you've always wanted to know about and really kind of give you the actual feel. I know Nick, Italian last name, was loving actually getting to see. He's like, oh my God, that's the description. That's what the building really looks like. Oh, and he's jacking off under the table. He's a fucking weird little creep. But seeing the embers, seeing the NPCs, how they're in an official setting, how they're meant to be played, how they, and meant, right? That's how I do it. You grab a book that I write or anyone else writes, you do it the way you want to do it. I have an amazing Cyric. I love playing Cyric. He's fucking great. I won't read the novels he's in because I know they're trash. And I know I will hate Cyric if I do because I'm like, ooh, ooh, to the ground with you, Cyric. But the way I do Cyric, ooh, he really works. And if you guys want a video on Cyric, I can tell you how I roleplay Cyric, and you can take it out there, roleplay Cyric, and we'll change the paradigm on Cyric, we'll change the worship on Cyric, and all of a sudden the new cult of Cyric will form in RPG communities, and Cyric will be portrayed in a very, very disturbing, very interesting, very different way. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I keep needing to everyone, a bunch of my friends that are subscribed to my channel are like, we're not even getting your videos. I'm like, okay, so I guess I'm supposed to tell you ring the bell, or I don't know, shove your thumb up your ass, or whatever the hell you do so you can see the videos, share the videos, like the videos, comment on the videos. Really, I just like to have you comment on the videos, honestly, if I'm being honest with you about anything, so I can engage you on the content, on the continents of your continents, baby, if you understand.